Hi everyone! Today is Friday, September 5th. Welcome to episode 16 of Knits and Stuff. My name is Alicia, and today we'll be talking about events and alongs, finished objects, works in progress, local delights, and wibbly wobbly timey-wimey. But first, welcome to those of you that are new, and those of you that are returning watchers. Thanks for coming back. If you haven't already, there is a group on Ravelry called Knits and Stuff Podcast, and I will put a link to that and everything else I talk about in the show notes, which can be found at knitsandstuff.wordpress.com. So, and before I get started, in addition, in case you notice some raspiness, hopefully it's not too bad, but I am slowly but surely getting over a cold. So, if you hear a change in my voice, that's if it sounds different this time, then that's why. But yeah, so events and alongs. I did not go to the Monterey wool auction because I was sick and didn't feel like driving 3 to 4 hours down to Monterey to buy another fleece, especially when I still have 2 fleeces from last year that I am slowly working through. Although I haven't done any spinning on the Cordell since the last time I showed it to you guys, but that's okay. And then so that was on Labor Day at the Monterey wool auction, but I am planning to go to the Dixon Lambtown Festival in October, October 4th through the 5th, and I've never been before, so, but I took a look at the vendor list and it looks really exciting, and there's a bunch of stuff I want to go see, so I'm excited for that. Hopefully I won't be sick then, but yeah, so that's all events and alongs. So, finished objects. Excuse me. So, I finished a pair of socks. These are the vanilla socks by Jasmine from the Knitmore Girls. And I knit these on US 1s, 2.25 millimeters in Intrepid Otter stripes in the colorway Garden Walk. And I think the only changes that I made to these were that, let me put them closer. So the only changes that I made were I knitted 60 stitches around instead of, I think she calls for 56 in the pattern. But, and yeah, I think that's it for those. Oh, and then this is, this was a little stitch marker, well, it's a paper clip that I put in, or not a paper clip, sorry, a safety pin that I put in to show where I showed where I was at last podcast. So I knit this much since then. So I was almost done last time. But yeah, and then I think I accidentally, my toes are different. Slightly different. This one, I think I had 8 stitches on each needle, so 16 total, and this one I had 4 on each needle, so 8 total. I don't know how that happened, but I figured it was okay. I was like, it's just the toe. It doesn't really make a difference. So these still need to be washed and blocked, or just washed at least, and yeah, and I need to weave in the ends, but finished socks, yay. So this is my 3rd pair of finished socks since I finished, yeah, so, well, this year, since I started knitting socks. So that's exciting. And more socks, moving on to works in progress. I showed this last time. This is a toe-up sock. I started with a toe-up socks with a difference. Excuse me. And then with that pattern, and then I'm going to make them knee-highs, and I'm going to use the basic knee-high toe-up socks by Leslie from Single Stitch. And these are also in US 1s, 2.25 millimeters. And then the yarn is Mustache Perfect Socked in the Sesame colorway, and there's my stitch marker from last time. And so I've knit quite a bit since then. Since I've been sick, I did get a little bit of knitting done. So yeah, so I made some good progress on the foot for this one. And yeah, so that is another sock. And then the other knitting works in progress that I have is my Twigs and Willows cardigan by Alana Dakos. And I finished one sleeve. Yay! It's a sleeve. It's knit flat, and so this is a flattened sleeve. And and then I also put a marker from last time, so I knit this much since last time I podcast. So 2 weeks of knitting and being sick got this much done. And then I started on the second sleeve, so once I'm done with this, then I can finish the sweater, which is exciting. And this is in Malintosh DK in the colorway Night Bloom, and I'm knitting them on US 7s. Yeah, so that is all my knitting works in progress, and I haven't really been spinning because I've been sick. So, not that that's really an excuse, but it was easier for me to just sit in front of the TV and knit rather than try and work with my wheel or my spindles. So, that's really all that I've done since the last time I podcast. So, yeah, moving along, let's go to local delights. Okay, so local delights. This time I want to talk about something that is not necessarily local to only me, but to a bunch of other people around the world, around the States, wherever there are Barnes & Nobles, basically. So, Barnes & Noble, as for people that don't know what it is, it's a bookstore. It's a big chain bookstore, and they have a bunch of different locations, and there's one that is close to me that I go to all the time. I used to go to Barnes & Noble all the time, like when I was younger too, just because, you know, it's a bookstore and bookstores are fun. So Barnes & Noble put together this pop culture weekend extravaganza where they had different talks and trivia contests and just gatherings related to different pop culture stuff. So Doctor Who was one of them, John Green and The Fault in Our Stars was another. I think Divergent had something, the Divergent series, and I think The Hunger Games had something. I want to say like the Lego movie had something, and The Hobbit. So stuff like that, you know, pop culture. And then so I was lucky enough to go to the Doctor Who talk that they had in the Barnes & Noble close to me. I was afraid they weren't going to have it because they didn't have everything at every store. But they did have Doctor Who at the Barnes & Noble near us. So I went to that with a couple of my Whovian friends, and they had a bunch of different printouts that they gave away for free. Most of the people there were kids. But so they had this TARDIS cutout, paper cutout, and then they also had a coloring book, which I was really excited to get because, I mean, you know, David Tennant's on the front, right? And I want to, and yeah, I already did. I got really excited when I flipped through it and I saw the word search, and I already did it. And yeah, that's that. But coloring books are exciting. So that was some of the stuff they gave away. And then they also had a quiz trivia thing with 60 questions, and we all tried to answer as many as we could. And then at the end, we went around and graded ourselves. And I think one of my friends got like he was, I don't know, like the second or third most right, which was only like 20 questions out of the 60. And then me and my other friend got like 15 right or so, and we ended up getting these posters, but I traded with my friend who got like the higher score because he got this lanyard and he was like, I'm not really going to use this, but it's Doctor Who lanyard. And I turned my autofocus on. I should take it back off. Okay. So there's the lanyard with a little TARDIS on it. So I'm excited because I can wear this to Comic-Con. And now I have to fix the focus again. So I got this for the trivia thing, basically. And then they had raffle prizes. So there were 3 different prizes. One was a cheesecake from Barnes & Noble, because they get those Cheesecake Factory cheesecakes. So that was one prize. And then another one was a cardboard cutout for a life-size TARDIS, which was pretty cool. Also not very practical. I don't know where I would put that if I won it, but I didn't win it, so it's okay. And then the third one was an art print by one of the Barnes & Noble staff that they just drew. They made a drawing and they framed it, and I showed it last week in the pictures if you saw if you stayed until the end to see it. But this is what I won. So this is an original artwork by a Barnes & Noble employee who I don't know because they didn't come around and I think they weren't working that day or something. But it's so cool. I was so excited to win this, and I don't know where I'm going to put it. I was thinking maybe I could just put it right here, but then that's not against the wall. There we go. That's against the wall. That would be a good place for it. I think so. But yeah, it was really exciting to see. To go and see. I was surprised how many people were there. I didn't think there were that many Whovians in the area, and yeah, I don't know. I guess that there would be some in Berkeley, and that was probably the closest place to go. But yeah, it was exciting. It was fun, and it was really cool for Barnes & Noble to put those events together. So that is my local delight. And I'm glad we still have bookstores around too, because Borders used to be like Barnes & Noble, and then they had to close. So, but at least Barnes & Noble's still around, and yeah. So I guess Doctor Who segue into Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey. So I saw, let's see, it's Friday, so tomorrow's a new episode, will be the 3rd episode. So last week's episode, which I did not talk about the week before, is episode 2, which is called Into the Dalek. And I will have to put spoiler stuff here because I'm going to start talking about the episode and what I thought. And yeah, so Doctor Who spoilers, if you don't want to know what happened in season 8, episode 2, fast forward or stop watching or do whatever. And then when I'm done talking, I'll remove the little thing that I put here. Hopefully that works for people. But yeah, so Into the Dalek. I watched it twice. Well, actually, I watched the last one twice too. But Into the Dalek, episode 2 of Peter Capaldi's term as the 12th Doctor, or whatever number you want to call him. I think when I first watched it, I wasn't really like wowed by it, and I was almost kind of like, I don't know, I was just kind of watching it, but I wasn't really enjoying it as much. I think I liked the first episode better, but that was just, I don't know, definitely watching it a second time I think I liked it a little better watching it a second time, but yeah, that was my overall feeling about it, I guess. So Into the Dalek, the Doctor, for some reason, is in the middle of a battle between the Daleks and some humans, and he rescues one of the soldiers, and they go back to the base ship, which happens to have a sick Dalek on it, and the Doctor goes back and gets Clara, and then comes back, and they get shrunk, and then they go inside the Dalek, literally inside a Dalek, and then try and fix it, and they find out that he is a good Dalek because of stuff that he saw, but then when they fix it, he becomes bad again because, Daleks. And then, yeah, all of that stuff. So that's kind of a basic summary of the episode. So what did I think? Well, so there were some questions that were brought up in the beginning of the episode, or throughout the episode, that were kind of interesting. So, like, why was the Doctor there to begin with? I don't know why the Doctor was floating in between, because the last time we saw him, he was supposed to get coffee for Clara, and they were in Glasgow, and then he disappeared and got somehow stuck in the middle of a battle. And yeah, so I don't know why he was there. And then they introduced a new character, and he is a teacher, Danny Pink, and he's a teacher at the school that Clara teaches at, and they focused on his previous military career and heavily hinted that he killed a civilian. So I'm wondering how important that is and who he killed. And yeah. And then the Doctor, of course, brought up the question to Clara, asking, am I a good man? Which we also saw in the previews for season 8 overall, which is kind of an interesting question, because you would want to just say yes because he's the Doctor, and of course he's a good man. But I don't know, these past 2 episodes showed kind of like a disregard for emotions and life, which was kind of interesting. I've heard that this is similar to some of the older Doctors from Classic Who, but I haven't actually seen any of the Classic Who, so I don't know how they compare. But definitely compared to the newer Doctors from the new season, they're always really sorry about like, they're always saying sorry when people die, but then when when anyone dies around Capaldi, it doesn't seem like he feels bad about it, at least not when he like knows that they're dead or they have to die, like there's no way out. So, which I mean is, I don't know, it's okay, it's different. So that was that. What else? The whole idea of the miniaturizing of the Doctor and everyone else to go into the Dalek was kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of nitpicky of me, I feel like, to be bothered about it, but it was just like, it reminded me of the Magic School Bus, and I guess, I mean, the next thing they would have done is just like shrink the TARDIS and go in, so at least they didn't have to do that. But it was just kind of weird, I guess. But it was interesting to go into the Dalek and see what the insides looked like, and it was kind of, I like the idea. When they did the antibodies, that was kind of an interesting concept. So I like that part, at least. And then there was this line before they were shrinking, before they got shrunk, where the Doctor was like, don't be a lasagna, and I think that was hilarious. And yeah. So it's gonna be like the new bow ties are cool thing, I feel like. Sorry about that. My memory card ran out of space, and I really need to get a larger one. But back to Doctor Who, Into the Dalek. Let's see. I don't remember what I was talking about. But I did want to say, while I'm being nitpicky about the episode, when they go into the eye, when they go in through the eye of the Dalek, it's like really windy on Clara for some reason when they're in that little blue area, and her hair is like moving around in her shirt. And I was like, why is it so windy? And I thought they would be in like a gel-ish substance when they were walking through there, but they weren't. So maybe it was just like really thick air, but then her hair was kind of floating with I don't know, it was weird. Interesting choice. Anyway, so that was that. And let's see. So even though the doctor is kind of not as caring, well, he says it. There were a couple great lines that in the episode, and one of them was when he was introducing Clara, and Clara was like, "I'm his carer," and then the doctor was like, "Yes, she's my carer. She cares, so I don't have to." And I just thought that was kind of funny. So, but also going along with that, he hasn't, like, when the guy, the first soldier, when he dies inside the Dalek, and that was pretty dark. But the doctor was like, he was dead already, I was saving us, and I don't know, that was just, like, I guess that wasn't a good line, but that's not one of the ones that I liked, or that stood out, but it was just like, I don't know, it's very different from the old doctors, or the ones that I know, so I guess the new previous doctor. But there was some humor later on when they get down to where they deposit all the dead bodies, or where the Dalek's body, where the antibodies deposit the dead body, or the dead things, and the doctor tells them where they are, and then one of the soldiers is like, "Is Ross here?" And the doctor is like, "Yeah, top layer if you want to say a few words." And I just thought that was really funny, but it was also really dark and probably completely inappropriate. But that was another good line in the show. Another question that was brought up by the episode was this character Missy, who was also in the last episode, and seems like she's going to be a recurring thing. I don't know who she is, but my theory is, or not on who she is, but on what she's going to do. I feel like she's collecting all of the people that have died from because of the Doctor, or in relation to the Doctor, and is going to, like, create this army to like get revenge on the Doctor later on, because where she says she's in heaven and she's kind of like the gatekeeper, but she's like very dark and it's very eerie wherever she is. So I don't know, who do you guys think Missy is? I've heard people say that maybe she's another Time Lord and she's in a TARDIS, which would be kind of weird. So that's another theory, but yeah, that's another question. And then there was also something interesting about at the end. I think there was another episode where the Daleks, I think it was either David Tennant or Christopher Eccleston. I don't think it was David Tennant. When he was talking to one of the Daleks, and they were like, "You would make a good Dalek," to the Doctor, and they said something similar also in this episode, where the Dalek is talking to the Doctor, and he's like, "I'm not a good Dalek. You're a good Dalek." He didn't actually say, "I'm not a Dalek," but the Doctor is like, "Oh, you're a good Dalek," and then or something like that. So that was interesting parallel between this episode and the past one, where they say the Doctor would be a good Dalek. Because it's interesting, they do have a lot of similarities, even though even though the Doctor is so against the Daleks and all that they stand for. And it's funny, there was also something funny when the Dalek was like, "I see your hatred of the Daleks and it is good," and I thought that was also a good line. But yeah, the Doctor, this Doctor is interesting. Definitely darker, and it's I don't know. I'm excited for next week's episode, or I guess tomorrow, not next week, but this week's episode, third episode, it's gonna be about Robin Hood, so it looks exciting. I think I like the period pieces better, or maybe not that, but I like it when they introduce new monsters, instead of going back to like the Daleks and the Cybermen. So yeah, this week's episode should be good. I wanted to record today instead of later, because we're going camping this weekend. So yeah, I won't be able to watch the new episode until Sunday, and that would be kind of pushing it to record after that. So I'll be talking about the next episode in 2 weeks, maybe with the episode after that. Yeah, it would be, so I'll probably be talking about 2 episodes next time. But anyway, yeah, so those are my thoughts on this week's episode, or last week's episode. Too many weeks. So I guess let me know what you guys think about it. I thought it wasn't as good as the first episode, but maybe that was just because the time period. Yeah, maybe I just preferred the dinosaur. Maybe I just like dinosaurs in Doctor Who. Yeah, so that's all a wibbly wobbly timey-wimey, and I think that's all I have for this week. Should stop recording now before my voice goes. So let's see, social media stuff. I am Eliana Knits on Ravelry. Show notes will be at knitsandstuff.wordpress.com, and unperfect529 on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, okay, so thanks for watching, and hopefully this wasn't too crazy, because, you know, still getting over a cold. So everything is kind of everywhere. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye!